Welcome back to Challenge the Call with Max and Avery. I'm your host, Max.
I'm Avery. How are you guys?
All right, everybody. First things, I just want to start off with, I'm sure you all noticed the mustache. It is officially Movember, a time to be aware of men's health, mental health, prostate cancer, testicular cancer. This is the month to be aware from it, so I'm rocking the stash in support of my fellow men out there. Avery, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I also know it as No Shave November.
That's different.
So oh, well, I don't know.
That's a different. I think they have similar causes, but that's technically a different angle of it or whatever, different thing.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah, I'm doing good. I'm here. I'm ready to talk about football.
As am I. So we'll get started with. I only have one notable game that I wanted to talk about, probably just because it's fresh on my mind, having just played last night, and that is the Texans versus the Eagles. Avery, did you catch that game?
You know, I didn't. I was at work, so I saw the score 29-17 at the end of the game. I haven't even been able to watch the highlights yet. So tell me what happened, man.
Well, the Texans came out ready to roll, and the Eagles also fairly came out ready to roll, but I think the Texans really surprised a lot of people because Texans scored first. They scored on their opening drive, which I think they were saying is the first time this season. So Texans were up 7-0 just after the first drive. And, of course, the Eagles came and matched it, but at halftime, it was tied 14-14. So the Texans were holding in there strong, and I just thought that was really surprising because I don't think anyone expected that out of them.
Right, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Outside of that, it was a pretty typical game, you know, like it looked like two regular football teams playing. I think the only reason I wanted to mention it was just because it seemed like it was a 7-0 team going against a 1-5-1 team, and so it's just crazy that they kept up so well with them, and I liked seeing it. Another notable game, I suppose I saw that stuck out to me a little bit. The Commanders won again.
Yeah, they're 4-4. I kind of want to talk about the NFC East. They got the Eagles that you just mentioned, 8-0. They got the Giants that are 6-2. They got the Cowboys that are 6-2, and then the Commanders that are 4-4. Everybody has a winning record in that division. It's insane because I remember a couple of years ago, everybody joked around and said it was the NFL least. And now, I've been hearing rumors, it's the NFL beast. Because, yeah, these guys are performing to a whole nother level that I haven't seen in, years. What's your thoughts?
It's crazy how stacked that division seems right now. Just how, like you said, all winning records. And that's wild. And I mean, it makes sense, though. You think if a team, especially the way the NFL works and operates, it tries to have that with all the draft picks and everything like that. The teams that are going to be notably bad for a stretch of time should become fairly good as long as they have some good people in-house getting those draft picks, coaching up the players. Because worse you do, better picks you get, good teams should be had. So I think it makes sense that they have turned their whole division around and that they're doing pretty well right now.
Definitely. I want to talk about the Vikings and the Cardinals. The Vikings are now officially 6-1. I thought that was a game the Vikings were going to drop. It looks like the Vikings have a firm grasp on our division. Kirk Cousins, they just traded for TJ Hawkinson at the trade deadline. So that's an Iowa boy that was on the move from Detroit to Minnesota. And so I hate that for Detroit because I felt like he was one of the only good players for Detroit. But what are your thoughts?
They definitely have some other playmakers. I know, what's the running back's name? Swift? He's
DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, he's a stellar back. I think they'll be all right. I think they actually have some decent offensive weapons in Detroit. But the weirdest thing to me about this trade is it common to trade in division like that? That just like I don't know. I suppose as long as it's like benefiting both teams, it's kind of like a sure why not. But at the same time, I would never think I would see divisions in or trades in divisions like that. It just seems like it's an unspoken rule of like do your business elsewhere, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I've never really seen it. I've never seen it trade within the division, especially for that quality of a player. And T.J. Hawkinson, he's a top 10 tight end in the NFL right now, easy. And I think that's what like the tight end position for Minnesota was struggling. And I think getting T.J. Hawkinson solidifies them as probably real contenders in the NFC for the first time this year. Like they kind of put off fraud team to me type. Like they get to the playoffs and they be frauds, but I think they could be real contenders. What's your thoughts?
They might have a pretty decent chance this year. I mean, I don't know how many teams right now are. What'd you say? They're 6-1. I don't know how many teams have that good of a record. I know there are a lot of teams doing well for how they normally play, but like the Eagles are 7-0, but they're the only undefeated team left. So outside of that, everybody else would also be at 6 wins along with the Vikings, and I think they have a decent shot.
The only other team that is 6-1 is the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
And that's in the AFC side. So I mean,
how many teams are 6-2 though? Because, technically they just haven't had buys yet.
We got Dallas, New York Giants, and that's it.
That's it. Those 3 teams.
Oh, and Kansas City. But that's AFC.
So there's 5 total teams, including the Vikings, then that have 6 wins.
Yep.
Wild. So that should show that they should have a decent shot as long as they keep it up. If they can continue through, and I think decently that they will. I feel they've played some decent competition. I know the Packers haven't looked great this year, but they beat the Packers, and they just beat the Cardinals, as you said. So I think they're pretty good.
Yeah. I also wanted to talk about one more notable game, the Panthers and the Falcons, because this game was wild. So at the end of the game, the Panthers, they were down. And this game ended up going into overtime. But P.J. Walker threw a game-winning touchdown pass, where it should have been a game-winning touchdown pass, to DJ Moore. Max, I see your face light up. What are your thoughts on this game?
I remember that game. I do remember that now that you mention it. I was pissed, just absolutely annoyed. Like some of the other assistant coaches were talking about it. Like as a coach, like that infuriates me. Getting a penalty on what should, like you said, getting a game-winning touchdown. But because of the penalty, DJ Moore ripped his helmet off after the touchdown he scored, and that caused the flag. And then they missed the PAT. So game ends tied. That's what sends it into overtime. And that's just that's a situational awareness type of thing. Like, sure, believe in your kicker, whatever. You just scored a great touchdown. That's awesome, blah, blah, blah. Don't get penalty. They lost that game because of DJ Moore. And if he doesn't feel the full weight and responsibility of what he did to lose them that game, then I don't even know. As a coach, that just infuriates me.
Yeah, and I was going to say exact same thing. I mean, like, shout out to Eddie Pinheiro, the guy that missed the field goal. He was the Bears kicker a couple years back, so thank God we don't have him. But, no, it's just I feel bad for the Panthers because that was a great game. You know, if the Panthers would have won that game, they would have been tied for first in the NFC South.
That's a tough break, and that's all on
But
DJ Moore.
I want to talk about the South too with this. What a shit show of a division. Every team is below 500. The Bears could win this division, man. If the Bears were in the NFC South, the Bears could win this division in a heartbeat. We have in the NFC South, I'm going to throw it off here. The Falcons that are 4-4, that they should have lost that game. The Buccaneers that are 3-5 with Tampa Tom looking really bad. The Saints that are 3-5, and the Panthers that are 2-6. Every team would have been 3-5 if DJ Moore wouldn't have ripped off his helmet.
And that just seems like the story of the NFL right now. I can't tell you how many teams when I'm putting in the records that I see 3-5, just like across the board, 3-5, 3-5, 4-4, maybe 5-3. But that just seems like the range of the NFL right now, like how we were just talking, there's so few teams that have over 6 wins. There's so many teams that are in that 5-3, 3-5 type of range, like the Bears currently being 3-5 as well. It's crazy how almost equal everything seems, but also not.
Definitely. I agree. And then I wanted to talk about the Lions and the Lions and the Dolphins, because we play the Dolphins next. The Lions should have won this game. Did you watch any of that game?
I think I saw the score. I might have seen some clips from it, but I didn't watch it.
Okay, so Lions were literally up, I think it was 21-0 at one point, and then it got up to 27-7 going into like the third quarter, the end of the third quarter. And then the Lions did their normal Lions thing and choked the game away. So, man.
Tua's back from Miami, right?
Yeah, Tua's back from Miami. And that scares me.
Speaking of, let's get into our main segment, Bear Central.
So, the Bears just played the Cowboys down in Dallas. They lost 29-49. Avery, what are your thoughts on that game?
I'm not even mad, to be honest. I'm not mad at all. Our defense has taken a couple of blows, and I'm not mad that we gave up 49 because our defense only gave up 42, which is still a lot. But at the halfway through the third quarter, we brought this game back 28-23. We literally brought this game back, and we looked like we could compete, and we looked like we belonged there. And a couple of dumb plays, specifically the David Montgomery fumble, and
Yep, and I want to get into that, but no, yeah, I just thought we started off slow. You know, I saw first quarter we were down 14-0 right off the bat. That's a slow start for us. I think without that, we do a little bit better. And then even the first half in general, we did bring it back a little bit. Like, we outscored them in the second quarter, 17-14. We're still down a good amount, but I think we just had a real slow start. And then, yeah, things turned around in the third quarter.
yeah, and then at the end of the day, like, we've talked about this multiple times. Progress. All you want to see is progress. And on the offensive side of the ball, and Justin Fields, this is what we're finally getting. We're getting progress. Luke Getsy, progress. Ryan Poles, progress. GM, and then defense. It fell off a cliff today. But that's okay. When you have Robert Quinn getting traded 3 days prior to the Dallas Cowboys game, when he's one of your captains, it's going to deflate that side of the ball. It's going to deflate the defense because he's been in Chicago for a while.
Definitely. And when you I was looking at the stats from the game, and they don't look horrible. Honestly, the Bears had more time of possession. They were about equal on first downs. Bears had more rushing yards, not that much less passing yards. It was 131 to 242. So I guess they had about 100 more yards passing. So that's what killed us, is just the pass defense right there. But outside of that, like looking at these stats, they break down fairly evenly. So, and Cowboys are supposed to have a really good defense. We were saying top 4 defense last week, something like that. So for the Bears to put up 29 points on them, like that does feel pretty good. Offensively, like I do feel a lot better. Fields is running around. He made a few plays, got some first downs, got a touchdown with his legs again. First one to start the game. So yeah, I'm loving Fields getting out there and actually starting to break out.
Yeah, and that brings me back. Like, you got to give credit when credit is due. And I hate to say it, but Dallas is a really good football team. They're built tough. They're built by defense, and they just hit a new level with Dak Prescott back in. So I think Dak definitely against the Bears deleted the Cooper Rush Dak quarterback controversy. He came out and he's like, I'm the guy, I'm the starter, this is the reason why. Because Dak performed well.
I actually wanted to ask you about that. If Cooper Rush were in this game instead of Dak, do you think we win this game?
It'd be a lot closer. And we would have had to play a couple of mistake-free football because we were making mistakes out there. But I think it would have been a lot closer of a game. I think it would have been a more defensive a game. So I think it
definitely closer makes sense. Pull out the win. Just looking at how bad the score was, maybe not, but I don't know. I think we might actually win it if it weren't for Dak, because he looked good. He was making deep passes. He threw the ball all over us. And another controversy, at least in my head, is Tony Pollard better than Ezekiel Elliott?
He is. I hate to say it. I think he is. The only reason that Jerry Jones won't, do anything about it, or Mike McCarthy, is because Zeke's getting a lot of money. Zeke is getting paid a lot of money, so why bench your starter when, you got Tony Pollard on a rookie deal still. So, I mean, but at the same time, Tony Pollard's a beast. 3 touchdowns? That our defense looked like Swiss cheese out there, man. It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was terrible. And that leads me into one thing. Who's supposed to be one of the main stops on the run defense? Your middle linebacker. Who was our middle linebacker for that game? Let's lead right in.
Roquan Smith.
Let's get into it.
So we got some trades that happened. I'm sure some of you are aware. Roquan, I forgot to put where he was going, and I selected
Baltimore.
Ravens?
Baltimore.
Yep. Roquan is going to the Ravens. Got a 2nd round and a 5th round pick for him. And with that 2nd round pick, we turned right back around and traded it to the Steelers to pick up Chase Claypool. Avery, how did you feel about both of those trades? Start with Roquan. How do we feel about Roquan?
I hate to see him go. I really do. Roquan was one of my favorite players on Chicago. He kind of called it, though, in the beginning of the year when he requested a trade. So I've kind of already mentally prepared for this. I knew he was probably not going to be in Chicago for much longer. I hate it. Still, just as a fan, I hate it, but I get the logistics of it. I really do. Like, he's an off-ball middle linebacker, and, he plays the position at such a fiery level, but at the same time, when you're thinking about it, you're not going to spend $135 million on an off-ball middle linebacker. When you have so many more positions on your offense and defense that you need to fill with that cap space. Our offensive line's terrible. Our defensive line's terrible. Now we need to replace the linebacker. Our receiving core is still not the greatest. We got so many holes that you can't spend $135 million on one guy and take up 1/3 of your cap space. So what are your thoughts?
Definitely. I do understand that, and I don't know, like middle linebacker, important but not important. Like you said, like that's a lot for one guy. I arguably see them as one of the more important positions, though, as they do have to be able to make those real quick, decisive decisions. Hey, is this run or pass? Because, like, if you're out in the backfield and it's a run, like, that's the box's problem. That's the linebackers and the linemen's deal. If you are the lineman and it's a pass, great. Just try to get to the quarterback doing the same job at it. Those middle linebackers, I think they're the ones with the tougher responsibility of, are we hitting our pass drops? Are we filling our gaps? They have to be able to read quick, know quick, because I think they're the ones that you can get gashed one way or another if they're not making the right reads, if they're not going where they're supposed to. Like, that's how you're going to easily get gashed. And so I do think it is a really important position. And I know I've already said before, yeah, it might be a lot of our cap space, but at the same time, that's what cap space is for players that are going to be stellar players and make the best plays. And it's, as we already saw, even with him still being there, but just not mentally into the game, it hurts. It hurts not having that position be sound.
So I want to ask you, like, as a little kid, I heard this all the time. Want in one hand, shit in the other, and see which one fills up faster, right? It's kind of a weird saying, but Roquan's a luxury at this point for Chicago. We are not a luxury type team yet. We need to get building blocks in each position. Like Roquan's that flashy Ferrari that you drive out on Tuesday mornings because you got the money. That's what he is. Like, he's a great player, but he's not a luxury. We need to solidify our key components on the offense. Offensive line and defensive line are very crucial. And I'd rather go spend $135 million on Joey Bosa, that will be a free agent this year, and get a great pass rusher. Or I'd rather go spend money on Orlando Brown from Kansas City being a left tackle. Like, I love Roquan, don't get me wrong, but I need to see stars at different positions because they are more valuable and they are like a building block for your team.
Which makes sense, but so like you just said, Roquan is a third of our cap space. So you want to spend $130 million on other, great. You have $260 other million to go spend on those positions. You know what I'm saying? It's not the difference. Like, I don't care. Like, it's a third of our cap space on Roquan. Yeah, that's a shit ton. Whatever. I don't hate spending it on him if he's going to be truly good and making plays for us the whole time. There's still another 2/3 of that to do all of that kind of stuff. Like, hey, you still have money. This is not personal financing. It's okay to bleed yourself to zero or close to zero when you're going to be bringing in that much more revenue off of amazing players making plays.
See, I get that, right? And I'm glad we're having this because we don't argue very often. I think we couldn't do that because we have too many more holes. Like, this is I'd rather spend not average, but good players instead of great players right now and get quantity over quality. Because right now, quality players, yeah, they can help you win a game like Houston with Roquan Smith. But quantity players can help you win multiple games. And that's the way I look at it. And quantity players are cheaper. Like, it's just kind of comes down to, like, the Bears, we need a complete rebuild. Like, a lot of people, like, I know, I was one of these guys last year, but a lot of Bears fans think that we're only like 2 or 3 pieces away. No, we're a lot farther away than that. This is going to be a 3 to 4 year rebuild. We are, Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace ruined the Chicago Bears football team before they left. Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles are fixing it one step at a time, and it's hard to trust the process, but you do got to trust the process. And if you got to blow up the team first, before. Sorry, my dog interrupted me. If you got to blow up the team, you got to blow up the team, and that's fine. Because, go ahead.
Sure, I get what you're saying, like, quantity is cheaper over quality, blah, blah, blah. I guess in my difference, you're thinking real, like, positionally, though. Because, yeah, quantity players are cheaper, and if that's what you want, then what's the problem with keeping Roquan there and getting a bunch of other quantity players in the positions that we need? You know what I mean? Like, you're making your argument as sacrificing one position for quality players in another, where, like, the argument you just made, like quantity's fine, quantity will get you there, and they're cheap. Great, let's do that then. That doesn't mean Roquan has to go anywhere, sitting where he is. But to get more into what this trade did do for us, obviously it was for a second round and a fifth round pick, but we immediately turned around that second round, and we did fill in a little bit of one of those holes in our receiver position by picking up Chase Claypool. How do you feel about that?
So it was actually our second round. It wasn't Baltimore's that we flipped. So
Same difference. Second round.
well, right,
yeah.
right now we're projected 8th, and they're projected 22nd. So I mean, it's like stop. Sorry, my dog is trying to be crazy. Yeah, no, I like it. 6'4", 238 out of Notre Dame, and like I don't. If I'm being honest, I don't like Chase Claypool. I really don't. Never really liked the guy. Never really, like, I always thought he was a showboat, like, blah, blah, blah.
Well, you have the one play I'm sure many people have seen of the Steelers needing a first down. Chase Claypool does get a big catch on second or third, whatever it is. And, yeah, he showboats instead of getting the ball down, getting to his spot for them to get the kill play off. So you're 100% right. He is a showboat.
Yeah, but at the same time, I like the potential, and I think Chase Claypool, he had his best year his rookie year. He had 862 yards and 9 TDs. And that was with a capable, competent Ben Roethlisberger. The last year, Ben couldn't do anything. He was done. And this year, he's had a mixture of Kenny Pickett and Mitch. And he's had a rough year. I think with Justin Fields, they're going to build chemistry. And I think Chase Claypool has potential to be our number one receiver.
I feel a lot of the same way about Claypool. Not a huge fan. Like you said, he's a little bit of a showboat. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm more of a show up, do your job. Like, the recognition will come if you deserve the recognition to come. But showboating, I've always been kind of against it. But I get it. With that being said, he's a good receiver.
Yeah.
You know? Like, to some degree, it's like, don't like this, whatever aspect of, but at the end of the day, he's a good receiver. He'll get catches. And whether he is going to be our number one or our number two, Darnell Mooney is still a good receiver too. I think the only issue with Mooney right now is how often he's going to be getting that double coverage because he's our only good receiver. So even bringing in Claypool to help, spread out that defensive coverage, have a couple of different options, I think it frees up Mooney a little bit. We could even see some improvement from Mooney. And
that's what I was just going to say. This is going to bring us back to the Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey days. And I know that was a little prior to your football knowledge. We got 2 physical receivers now because I think our X and our Y are definitely going to be Chase Claypool, and then on the other side, it's going to be N'Keal Harry. He stepped up against Dallas. He stepped up. And then Darnell Mooney's going to go in the slot where he belongs. Darnell Mooney is a slot receiver, and he'd be a great slot receiver. Great slot receiver. But N'Keal Harry, 6'4", 230, Chase Claypool, 6'4", 230. I mean, and then Cole Kmet. We got Darnell Mooney. I'm liking it. I like the two skyscrapers outside. I like it. Two physical, brawly guys. And I think this is going to work out well for Chicago. Maybe not this year because, Chase and Justin are going to have to get on the same page and everything. Justin's just now getting on the same page with N'Keal Harry. But also, where does this leave Velus Jones in the picture?
As a solid backup for injuries or a little bit of a break.
Okay.
Is probably where it leaves Velus Jones.
And St. Brown also. St. Brown will probably be a solid backup now.
Similar with St. Brown. He'll be more, I think, of that slightly more veteran presence too. He'll be a little bit more that guy to kind of look up to, learn from, be under a little bit just from a knowledge of the position perspective. For the other guys who are a little younger and still trying to get their come up in the league.
Definitely. I really enjoyed N'Keal Harry, though. I really do. I think he looked good against Dallas. I don't know why. I don't know why New England got rid of him. I know he looked bad in New England and he didn't live up to potential. That's okay. I hope he lives up to potential in Chicago because he was all over the field. That was his first official game back from being injured in the preseason. And I loved every little bit of it.
He looked good. And I think even with him being back, I think our passing game is going to start opening up a lot more. Just because with Claypool, whether him and Fields have a connection right away or not, like I mentioned earlier, Claypool is just going to draw defensive coverage. Even if they don't have a great connection, relationship, whatever, he's going to draw that coverage. And Fields and Mooney, they have it. Fields and Harry should be working it up. It's just going to open up other receivers so that those passes can be made. And even, I know N'Keal Harry's a real big guy. He's known well for blocking. It helps our run game, too, just on the edge, on the perimeter. We have a guy that can actually go solidly block. And David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert, they can start taking stuff out to the edge and getting down.
Well, that's the other thing. Chase Claypool is a good run-blocking wide receiver also. So we just add another presence there that, hey, look, we got another guy that's great at run blocking. So I'm really excited. I hate it because I'm not a big fan of him, but I am excited. But that's pretty much the going rate for wide receivers right now. I was looking at, free agency this upcoming year, and the best receiver in free agency that would be in free agency is Nelson Aguilar. And Claypool runs circles over Nelson Aguilar. I hate to say it. So, we had to give up a second-round pick. That's fine. We'll just, hopefully it comes out. And I know there's been a lot of haters. I'm in a group chat that everybody was calling Chicago stupid and they don't know what they're doing. And I just want to wait for 3 years. Let's see what we look like in 3 years, and I want them to eat crow because I think we do know what we're doing. Ryan Poles is a very smart guy, and he's the one that built Kansas City to who they are. And I think Ryan Poles was the best hire Chicago's made in a long time. Matt Eberflus, I don't know, but what are your thoughts?
The Bears look good. I think they look good from a perspective of, some of the moves they're making are a little questionable. Maybe some people don't quite understand them, but we talk about week in and week out, progress. They're making progress. Fields is getting around the field. He's rushing. He's using his legs. He's making some good passes. Our passing game is looking stronger, I should say. Even just the past couple games, or even this last game against the Cowboys, we're starting to score. We're starting to put up points. The offense is starting to do their job. And so I think that's only going to keep rolling and continue on as we finish out this season, get into the next season. And you say 3 years? I don't know. I would like to – maybe it's just me not being patient, but I'd like to see it in a year or two. maybe next year, we finish a little more evenly. Year after that, making a playoff berth. I think we're making the right moves, or I think we're trending in the right direction for success.
Yeah, and this brings me to my last point before we move on to the Bears-Dolphins, is do you think that, at the end of the day, do you think that the Bears making moves with Ryan Poles is worse or better than not making moves with Ryan Pace? Like, we didn't make many moves with Ryan Pace. We didn't bring anybody in. Ryan Pace would build the team in the offseason, and not really. I mean, Ryan Pace did bring in Khalil Mack, that one surefire, we made a move. But that was it. So, I don't know.
The way the league is nowadays, you can't stay stagnant. If you're not actively trying to make trades or trying to bring in the better players and stuff like that, you're going to fall behind. You're going to fall short. So definitely, you got to utilize who you can get. You got to do those trades, get those picks. And Ryan Pace he was hoping we'd get better while staying stagnant, and
it didn't work out.
Obviously, it doesn't work. But as you mentioned, to get into our game coming up, we play the Dolphins in Chicago. Dolphins are 5-3. Bears are 3-5. The over/under is 44.5, and the Dolphins are favored by 4.5 points. How do you feel about this game?
So I'm hoping it snows in Chicago this weekend because I know it's supposed to snow this week here, and I think we take the L, unfortunately. But I really think Justin Fields is going to come out and look pretty solid. Defense is just going to be deflated. I mean, we lost. You saw the deflation just from Robert Quinn against Dallas. Imagine this deflation with Roquan Smith leaving. It's going to be magnified by 2. It's going to be insane. And so I think we lose, but at the same time, I think Justin performs well. I think he keeps making a step forward. And this year, the Dolphins are 5-0 when Tua has played every game, start to finish. They're 0-3 when Tua wasn't in. And Tua's playing this week, so I'm nervous. What's your thoughts?
I think it has potential to be a really good game because, like you mentioned, hopefully it snows in Chicago. I don't know if it's going to snow. I think it's supposed to be wet because I know in Iowa here, like today, it's supposed to be raining all day long and Saturday. So I don't know fully on Sunday, but weather conditions could be a little sketch. And as we know, the Bears play well in bad weather. We're a bad weather kind of team. And even aside from that, they have very similar points per game offensively. The Bears have 19.4 points a game. Dolphins have 22.3. So we're only a tad below that. And if you think about that, with our first few games that were lower and don't really help that average out, we're trending in the upward direction on points a game. Defensively, they allow 24 points per game. We allow 22.6. So if I had to guess, I would say Dolphins probably going to score around 22 points if numbers hold true. And hopefully, I don't know. We have a chance at coming out on top of that, or we have a chance of falling just short. As far as them being favored by 4.5, I'll be optimistic and I'll say we cover. I'll say we can cover that 4.5. If we lose, take it by a field goal.
Can I do alternative odds?
No.
Please. No, I'll take. I'm going to take the over. I'm not going to take the spread. I'm going to take the over. I think it'll be over 45.5. I never take Chicago overs because it never works out. But I really think I'll take the over because Tua's balling out. You know what matchup I'm excited to see? Tyreek Hill versus Kyler Gordon. Our rookie corner. I want to see how Kyler Gordon does against Tyreek Hill. And I also want to see how Jaquan Brisker and Eddie Jackson work together with Miami's receiving core. They're insane. I'm nervous, but this is a true testament. We've been talking about Jaquan Brisker and Eddie Jackson all year, the dynamic duo. And I think, let's see if they can slow them down.
That's definitely going to be the key to if we do cover or if we are making an attempt to win this game. It's going to come defensively, and it's going to come defensively in the pass game for sure. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what our couple of younger rookie guys can do against some very good, Waddle and Hill, both of them. Very, very good receivers.
Gesicki, great tight end.
A good tight end with Gesicki too, yeah. And so, I don't know. I'm excited to see. I think if you say that Dolphins, their receiving core is what makes their team, I think our defensive backs are what make our team a little bit right now. And so I'm excited to see those two square up.
I agree, yeah. Let me ask you, would you rather win this game and keep winning this year, or would you rather just tank? Because I'm kind of at that mode where I'd rather just get a top 10 pick.
I'd rather keep winning this year. I gotta say, I don't necessarily care too much about the picks. Obviously, I know they're important, but also I think Ryan Poles is a smart enough guy. Like we were just talking about, he'll make trades, he'll move things around, he'll do what he's got to do to get us the players that we need. So I don't think picks are a huge concern to me right now. I want to keep winning. Like we were talking about earlier, a lot of teams are in that 4-4, 3-5 kind of range. So if the Bears came here and won out, there's a playoff shot there. Does that happen? I doubt it.
Right.
It's very, very unlikely. But from a theoretical standpoint, of what do I want? Of course, I always want wins. I want more wins. I want to see the Bears succeed. If they have a winning record by the end of the season, I'll be happy.
Well, if the Bears win this week, I know we do this kind of every week, that would put the Bears at 4-5, and then we got Detroit next week. And I think that could put us at 5-5. And then we got the Falcons, and I think that could put us at, I don't know, that's a toss-up.
That is a toss-up. It'll depend on how we handle the Dolphins in Detroit. If we were 5-5 by that point after Detroit, we beat the Dolphins this week, I would feel pretty good with us against the Falcons.
All right, 6-5, and then the Jets. We come back down to earth, I think. Jets are a good team this year.
Breece Hall won't be back.
Yeah, but they still look solid. I still think the Jets, they've built something over there. I think they're us a year ago. Or they're us a year from now. That's what I think. I hate to compare us to the Jets, but I think that's where they are. But yeah, and then we got Green Bay, and let's not talk about Green Bay.
That'll be
all right. But so you're taking Chicago to cover 4.5.
I think they cover.
I'm taking the over 45.5. And I think that wraps up Bear Central.
Yeah, so we'll move on now to our college segment. Let's talk Hawks. Iowa is 4-4, which I do consider a winning record if you're 500. So yay. And that came against the win against Northwestern, who is 1-7. So can't be too excited, but also a win's a win. So I'll take it. It was 33-13, the final score. What were your thoughts on that game?
I actually watched this. This was a great game. Iowa's offense looked capable. Petrus looked good. Sam Laporta was all over the field. how often do you hear that come out of my mouth? Never. But no, our offense won us this game, believe it or not. I mean, so did our defense. They only scored 13 points. But our offense scored 28 points. 28 points. Like, what? It was a pretty incredible game. It's 1-7 Northwestern. But I was pretty proud of it, and it gave me hope against the 5-3 Purdue. I think we got a shot. I think we beat Purdue this week, and we're back in the thick of things. What's your thoughts?
You're getting ahead of yourself here. Anyway, yes, no, I did really like the Iowa Northwestern game. We played well, we played great, but like you were saying, it's against 1-7 Northwestern. They have the worst defense in the Big Ten. They're not a good team. And so, yeah, I love seeing Petrus look not too shabby and Laporta doing his thing. 'Cause obviously, Laporta is a very good tight end. But that's one thing I just could not get out of my head. And even the announcers were mentioning it a couple different times throughout the game. It's all because it's Northwestern. Like, you always have to remember who your opponent is, what their strengths and weaknesses are. Our offense looked good. Great. We played a really shit defense. So, I love it. I love the win. I take the win. 33 is pretty good points to put up. But I still just, it's Northwestern. So, part of me is like, if this would have been like our loss to Ohio State, if this would have been like a 54-13 or something, I'd feel a little bit better. I'd be like, yeah, it's a shit defense, but even good teams aren't, always putting up 50 points on like other teams. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I take a little bit of an asterisk to it there.
Yeah, and I'm afraid, like, if we don't beat Purdue this week, I think we don't win a bowl. We don't go to a bowl game this year. Still, what's your thoughts?
Yeah. Okay, so Iowa's playing Purdue at Purdue this upcoming week. Purdue is favored by 3.5. The over/under is 38.5. I don't know. I haven't paid too much attention to Purdue. Let me look here. They're scoring quite a few points a game. They're also giving up a decent amount of points a game. But it's also Iowa, who does not have a good offense. And so I know we looked real good against Northwestern, and the offense looks like it's coming together. But also playing Purdue, I don't know if we stay on that same track. I think we lose. I think we lose to Purdue. I don't know if we can pull that one out.
I don't think so, and here's why. You know who we've played this year? Like, this year, our 3 losses. Okay, Iowa State, inexcusable. Should not have lost to Iowa State. 10-7.
That one was close.
10-7. Iowa State's literally 3-5. That was an ugly game. But our other 2 losses, or 3 losses, have came from Michigan, one of the best teams in the country. Illinois, one of the best teams in the country, ranked number 15th, 14th now, and Ohio State, one of the best teams in the country. So we're not a true 4-4 team. I don't think so. I think we just have struggled with the way the cards were dealt to us. We have had a tough-ass schedule. Illinois, that was back-to-back-to-back weeks. Like, we got put through the gauntlet. We went Rutgers into Michigan. And then into Illinois. And then at Ohio State. That was 3 road games, too, by the way. Well, Michigan was a home game. But Illinois and Ohio State was back-to-back road games.
Yeah, I hear you. But also, my only thing is, take away Rutgers, Nevada, who's not even, they're FBS, right? They're just non-Power 5. But My thing is just like our scoring. Like, yeah, we lost to Ohio State, Michigan, both super great, awesome teams, and Illinois. But when you look at the points we're putting up a game, we're putting up 16 points a game. We scored 7 against an FCS team. We scored 6 against Illinois. We are not putting up like good points in my head. Like, yes, we've had really tough competition and scheduling and everything, but at the same time, like our offense can't score. So even when we get it, because we haven't played like a true like average team in my head yet. So yeah, our schedule's been really tough. Our 3 losses, our losses have come to some really, really good teams. But our wins have also come against some really, really bad teams or below our level teams. And so I think Purdue is our first real, like, kind of right on the verge with us matchup, kind of the, hey, like, we're looking in the mirror this week, like, we're playing another real average team, like us, another real average team when you round out the defense and offense as a total unit. And so I think that when we're starting to put our average on average, I don't know. I just feel like we fall a little short this one.
Yeah, I mean, but and then you got to think our schedule kind of prepared us for this gauntlet because, like, I'm looking at Purdue's schedule right now. They lost 35-31 against Penn State, first game of the year. Beat Indiana State, non-power, well, not even an FBS school, FCS. They lost to Syracuse. They barely beat Florida Atlantic. They beat Minnesota, which they're having a down year. They barely squeaked it out against Maryland. And they barely beat Nebraska. And they lost to Wisconsin. And that is their schedule so far. So, like, yeah, they might be 5-3, and they might have scored a lot of points, but look at those defenses. There's not one real defense that they faced this year. Like, Penn State, maybe Penn State's, but Michigan put 54 on Penn State. So, I mean, I don't know. I think we win this game, and I think the disrespect of us being underdogs on this game is just unfathomable. I think we win this game by 10. I think we win.
If there's a solid shot that we have this game, it's definitely coming defensively. That is the one advantage I do see to our chances is defensively. I think we have a good shot at holding them out a little bit more as long as they can keep up and play. And Purdue does seem like they're giving up a decent amount of points defensively. They're giving up a decent amount of points. So hopefully our offense can find a little bit of a grounding to get in there and put some points on. It's going to be in my head, it's still a real close game. I would love a win. I think there's a chance we can win. I just don't feel confident in them being able to play it out the whole game. I don't think we win by 10. I don't think we have another like Rutgers Northwestern blowout kind of match.
I think it's 17-7. That's what I think. 17-7. I think that would be the best case scenario.
It could happen. It's possible. To wrap us up a little bit more, too, I think that's all for the football talk. But college basketball is coming up soon. Monday? This next coming Monday. Iowa has their first basketball game against BCU.
Yes, sir.
I don't know about you, but I'm really excited to watch some college basketball again.
I am. So I need people to know that I'm not all in on college basketball. I like college basketball, more of a fair weather fan. Just throwing that out there right now before we get into it. But yeah, they're playing who? Betham? I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah. The big thing I'm curious to see, hopefully Chris Murray steps up this year because he doesn't have his brother anymore. Iowa's number one guy, highest draft pick Iowa's ever had, Keegan Murray, now playing for the San Francisco Kings. They're also losing out on Bohannon, but I think they still have Patrick McCaffrey. They still have Chris Murray. I think they still have a few other guys, a little less notable maybe. Perkins, he's one I like. But, yeah, I think they still have a real solid team. Won the Big Ten championship or Big Ten tournament last year. Made it to March Madness. Got kicked out pretty quickly. But, hey, it happens. I'm excited. I think they'll do better than the football team is doing. Put it that way.
I wanted to shout out what's going to be my alma mater, University of Nebraska at Omaha. We are not that great of a basketball team, but we are a Division I basketball school, and we play Kansas this weekend down in Lawrence. So we're going to get blown out, but I'm going to be tuning in for that game, so I'm excited. But yeah, so
Iowa plays Omaha
this year.
Yeah, they sometime soon. Let's say I'm trying to find the game. Omaha Mavericks.
Yep, we do.
The 27th, November 27th.
Yep. It's in Iowa City.
Trying to go to that game?
It would be really cool to go to that game.
I would go.
So,
if I'm free.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna have two teams this year. I'm gonna have UNO, and I'm gonna be an Iowa fan, and I'm gonna really, really try to get into basketball this year. At least a lot more than I have in the past.
Last year was my first year of getting real into it. My one team is Iowa. That's kind of my one and only guys. But outside of that, I do just like watching Big Ten basketball. There's just too much to follow. There's too many teams out there running around. But last year at least was pretty good about watching most of the Big Ten games when they were on. And so that'll be my point of view from it, is I'll take a real Big Ten perspective just following that conference.
And you are a Sacramento Kings fan, right, for the NBA?
Now that Keegan Murray is going to the Sacramento Kings, yeah, I'm going to try to follow along a little bit when I'm able to and see how he's doing there. Hopefully he'll do all right. I know Sacramento Kings aren't known for being great, but we'll see what he can do. I'm excited.
And guys, I am more of an NBA fan than a college fan, but I am a Milwaukee Bucks fan. I've been a Milwaukee Bucks fan for a long time now, so I'm not a bandwagon. But yeah, we just kind of wanted to give you a little taste of what this is going to look like outside of football season. This is going to kind of slowly convert to different sports. I know when Max and I kind of created this, we wanted to go football. Definitely football is our mainstream. And we'll always talk about something with football. Even if it's one little thing about football a day, we'll talk about it. But it's going to be basketball, and it's going to be baseball, and it's going to be so forth. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. And we're kind of getting towards the end of the year. Not quite, but we're there. So I just wanted to give you guys a warning beforehand.
Yep. I think things are definitely going to be getting better. My season will be over after next weekend, so I'll have more time for the pure consumption of even just football alone. I'll be able to watch more, and so hopefully we'll be able to get you guys some better content. But Avery, why don't you go ahead and sign us off?
I only got 2 words. Bear down!